Who is it going to be? As spawning in the top right-hand corner of Alkyone, we have our South Korean Protoss player, the Blue Protoss, representing himself, currently teamless. It is NightMare. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Canadian Protoss, the Red Protoss, representing Basilisk. It is Trigger. And if you are in the chat, you know what time it is. It is time to get your Gamba going. Here we go. Predictions are now open. Place your bets on who you think will be this week's champion. Who's going to be the tuna? Is it going to be NightMare or Trigger? One Protoss or the other. As a reminder as well, ping is less of a factor as both NightMare and Trigger are in South Korea. They are both currently residing in the land of South Korea. So it is going to be kind of the best setting for them as they are sharing the same server in our grand finals. And here we go. It's going to be a 2-gate opener out of NightMare. Trigger likewise going for a 2-gate opener back at home. Is setting up. 2-gate versus 2-gate. I can't believe I didn't win the $5 without participating. Hashtag rigged. True. Ay. How could that happen, man? How could it happen? Not like this. Here we go. One day I'll play versus a Korean with 0 ping. Eva, when are you going to Korea? Move in with Trigger. You can sleep in his closet. I'm sure he'll have you, Pat. Let's go. For those that are unaware, Trigger did move to Korea a couple of months ago alongside a group of NA players. And when I say NA players, I include Clem there. He was adopted by Estrella and Future. So it was Trigger, Estrella, Future, and Clem. This was in the lead up to EWC. They were all kind of living together in an Airbnb, and they were all boot camping together. And clearly it worked. Clearly it helped Clem acclimate and prepare for that big event. And I mean, now Clem is the world champion, of course. But after that, Estrella, of course, he went to EWC, he traveled. Future went back to the Americas. Clem went back to Europe. And Trigger, he was left behind. No. No. Did pull a bit of a Kevin. And Trigger, he was left at the Airbnb, and he has been staying there ever since. He wasn't actually left behind. He didn't choose to stay behind, but, you know, I like to believe that, you know, they counted everyone, they got into the car, and then when they got on the plane, you know, suddenly Estrella's like, hold on. He's like, hold on a minute. Are we missing someone? Did something go on? Nah, it's fine. Don't worry about it. It's our imagination. But yeah, Trigger, he's staying in Korea for a little bit longer. I'm not too sure for how long. I believe he plans on staying for as long as he can. I believe he is loving his time there. But now, though, it is going to be a Twilight Council follow-up. Twilight Council from NightMare, Twilight Council from Trigger as well. When I'm in Trigger's house, and he never wins that. Oh, no. Not like this. Sleep under his bed. He'll keep you safe. He'll keep you safe. I trust Trigger. He might be a Protoss, but I do trust him. Maybe I shouldn't. He is an Ubu enjoyer. He's all about that Osu. Should I be concerned? I don't. But now we're settling in. So far, a pretty passive start to the game. Again, just standard openers, 2-gated to expand. We have our Twilight Council into Blink. Both players are mirroring each other. We see NightMare setting up for a third. The hallucination will confirm. Again, hallucinations being sent out from both players. And both NightMare and Trigger are expanding. So we're just calming things down. We're expanding. Getting to our third bases. Get a much more standard start to the series. It's a best of 5. I'm sure proxies will get involved at some point, but not in game 1. Not to begin. NightMare does move out. Could be threatening a run by hit towards the left-hand side. Trigger does get eyes on this. So far, good positioning. Does keep up with the Adepts. Shades in, chases down the first Adept. Very nice pickoff. Gets one and should get the other as well. And both Adepts will go down. Nice cleanup. Behind this, getting to a Robo, Forge, Gateway Explosion. NightMare doing the same. So far, so good. Trigger does pull away. And again, both players kind of just bounce off each other. There's no major forms of aggression. Getting into our fourth, and I'm curious if either player pulls a Geralt and tries to rush into Disruptors. I'm curious. Speaking of, big gateway explosion from Trigger. Going to charge what's behind this. Hallucinations, they keep checking, keep looking for any further tech, like a Bay, Dark Shrine, for example, fourth expansion. Both players being very meticulous with their scouting. So both players are rotating. NightMare taking a fourth. Trigger, soon to do so as well. And instead of rushing into Disruptors, it looks like both players, or at least Trigger, is taking to Archons. So he's going charged at Archon, Blinkstalker Immortal, kind of your stock standard mid-game army. And NightMare is doing the same. So no one is cutting corners, no one is pulling a Geralt and trying to get into Disruptors early on. I mean, they can give you a big edge, but it is risky. It's quite risky to kind of try to pull that off. And yeah, I feel like I'm watching like a European PvP. I feel like where it's like no rush, like 10 minutes. We're just macroing, getting to our builds. I mean, in general, Trigger has been trading a slightly better here. Ooh, even chasing NightMare down. Picking off additional Stalkers. He got 2 Adepts earlier. It does feel like slightly better trades for Trigger. Losing less units so far, but only slightly. And here comes the move out. And the question becomes, does NightMare have Archons ready for this? You know, with a mass Zealot-heavy composition here, it's Archons that really just annihilate and melt Zealots in these head-on engagements. Speaking of Archons, Trigger has his. Where are NightMare's? Where are NightMare's Archons? The first one is on the way. It's just now starting up. And Trigger, he dives in. He goes to the dive. Overcharge gets popped. Archon volley's going off. Going for the shield battery. And NightMare, he just barely was not ready for this. And Trigger, can he break through? Does get the shield battery. And he's snowballing out of control. Yeah, catching NightMare with his pants down in one fell swoop and one crisp timing here from Trigger. Takes down the Archons, takes down the Immortals, does force back the main army, and takes control of the fort. There are Zealot reinforcements coming in, but the Archons did survive. GG gets called, and Trigger takes game 1. GG. Everything was like cool, calm, and collected until it suddenly wasn't. Again, Trigger, he moved out. Even though NightMare had the potential for Archon production, he had none. He had no units. Oh, I should say he had minimal units to defend. I should emphasize that NightMare did miss the move out. He did not see Trigger pushing towards the 4th base. So NightMare, he was caught with his pants down. If he was aware of the army moving out, he most likely would have warped in High Templar sooner to morph in Archons. If so, then maybe he can defend. But Lass wasn't quite aware. GG. GG, well played. Trigger takes the lead. GG, well played. And not just that, but I should also emphasize as well that at the same time leading up to it, NightMare, he was trying to harass, he was bleeding out Adepts, bleeding out Stalkers, he was bleeding out units that weren't quite really gaining any value. Trigger was deflecting time and time again. Played it out quite nicely. And now we're getting into game number 2, and I imagine after what just happened in game 1, which again, like, there wasn't really too much more finesse to it, it was just like, you know, both players building up and then just a strong timing out of Trigger. I'm sure NightMare will take a different approach. I'm sure. We'll see. As spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Oceanborn, we have our South Korean Protoss player, the blue Protoss representing himself, currently teamless, but we're going to fight back and looking to tie up the series. It is NightMare. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Canadian Protoss player, the red Protoss representing Basilisk. It is Trigger. Also, I think out of game it was showing Trigger as a Zerg player. My apologies. Have fixed that. Have since fixed it. I'm just catching up. So many people with their pants down. Hate to see these guys. Oh no. I'm telling you, we have to like create a GoFundMe and you have to create some like gamer belts or gamer suspenders. Okay? That's how you fix the problem. Lift their pants up and keep them up. As it is going to be a 2-gate opener, 2-gate out of Trigger, 2-gate out of NightMare. So far, everything as it should be. Probes are moving out. Shout out to the Sparkling Tuna himself. Beautiful. He's got a headset. Shout out to Shura for making all of our logos, all of our mascots. For our, of course, Sparkling Tuna Cup, Tenacious Turtle Tussle, Sea Duckling open, Master Swan open. All the animals. It's beautiful. And our emotes as well. The artist that made this logo also made our emotes. So much love, much love. Much love to Shura. As NightMare, he does scout, so does Trigger. Both players confirm there is no hidden pylon. 2 pylons here for NightMare, 2 pylons for Trigger. So no proxy. No proxy. Do we need to start a petition to get NightMare on the team? NightMare does deserve to be on the team. He is one of the highest... I mean, he was on the team leading up to EWC, but when NightMare didn't qualify for EWC, then, you know, he did since leave it. But it definitely does deserve attention. I mean, we'll see what happens in the upcoming weeks when it comes to the next season of EPT. And the next season of EWC as well. Once again, I'm sure teams will be incentivized to pick up players. Just like this year. Setups do move out. Is going to be the initial Stargate opener by Trigger. Going for the Oracle first. Oh, nice counter shade. Oh, but the adepts, they do commit. Do shade into the main. Getting 2 probes so far. 2 workers. Getting 3. Getting almost 4. Oh, does get a 4. Yeah, 4 probe kills for 2 adepts. Not a bad start for NightMare. Likewise, Trigger, his shade is denied. Gets 1 probe, forced to recall. Doesn't get much else. The other worrisome thing is that NightMare, I believe, got a full scouts. Yes, looking at his vision, he did confirm the Stargate and the Oracle production, so NightMare knows, and NightMare should be getting in position. There we go. Shield battery is on the way. NightMare is going to be ready for it. Trigger committing to additional adepts to harass, getting up to 4. And there's a lot of pressure on Trigger here to get some damage done. To get some counter damage done. Oracle dips in. Adepts, they threaten the shade. They do get into the main, actually. Uh-oh, that should not have happened. There's a force field. Okay, Adepts are going to be shot down. They get 2 probes so far. 2 more Adepts, they shade into the main. Getting 4. Almost up to 5. Oof. Yeah, 5 probe kills. Not bad. Not the best trade, considering it was 5 probes for 4 Adepts. So it was almost a 1-to-1 trade. But at least Trigger is keeping the worker count low. When he does trigger a counterattack, NightMare moving out. Meanwhile, Trigger, he can go into the main. And 2 Oracles, they can one-shot probes. The shield battery does nothing. He does force a recall. Stalkers, they recall back home. Picking up 2 probes. Across the map. Is Trigger ready? Shield battery is done just in time, and Trigger, he defends. Trigger, he does zone NightMare away. Has the overcharge, has a shield battery. Trigger is safe back at home. And Trigger now takes a worker lead. Now behind this, both players are taking into Blink. NightMare does have a window where he has Blink and his opponent does not. We'll see if NightMare makes use of that. Makes use of that timing. Oh! Moving to the natural. 2 more probes. 3, 4, not bad. 5 more workers. Trigger, calm down. 5 probe kills, gets away. I see in the chat, what about Bing Bong exports NightMare? What about Bing Bong exports Zound? Unironically, Azura. Can they get your boy on? Just saying. At least in the interim. At least until he can get his footing again. Maybe. Azura and Zound on the same team again. Beautiful. Could happen. I was gonna say like name like a better duo than Azura and Zound, but I just thought of Gemini and Trap. I guess, but similar vibes. As Trigger, he does keep up. I say that 3 probes go down, does get 1 Stalker, but NightMare does manage to escape with most of his army, getting into a 3rd. We're getting paid in hugs. You just want an excuse to hug Zound. Este Azura. I see what you're doing. I've seen your type before. I know what Gemini tries to get away with, the trap. Kappa. I don't know why Gemini's catching strays. As Trigger, he does commit in, actually catching out once again. Lack of Stalkers for NightMare. Stalker's getting targeted, shield battery's a little bit too late, and Trigger, he has too much. He's overwhelming his opponent, takes out every single Stalker, one after the other. Shield battery is done, but it's too late. Too little too late at this point. There's only 2 Stalkers left. Not like this. Overcharge gets popped. NightMare, he is holding. Barely does hold on. But again, Trigger, he hit just before the shield battery at the 3rd base, and the natural did complete. On top of that, right after punishing NightMare for being active. 3rd base is getting up and running. Trigger doesn't kill NightMare, but he did cripple it. Looking at the army size here, 10 Stalkers to 4. NightMare, he does hold, does survive. But Trigger still maintains a worker lead. Going for a gateway explosion into +1 charge. Trigger, he's been so feisty this series. Like, it's been so assertive, maybe a better way of putting it. Very assertive in game 1 and here in game 2 as well. Double Oracle into the natural. More reinforcements have arrived, hitting the 3rd. There is an Immortal. He wants it. He wants the Immortal. Oh, and he will be able to 3-shot it. The Immortal does go down. 2 Stalkers left. Oracles, they do distract some of the Stalkers. They keep NightMare pinned at the natural. NightMare does pop out another Immortal, barely holding on. Overcharge gets popped. Trigger, he does have to respect it. Getting 3 more probes, pulling away. Oracles, ooh, they're denied entry into the natural. Nice defense here by NightMare. Does affect the Oracles. And the Stalkers of Trigger are getting low. Getting very low here. Pulling away, Trigger getting a 4th. Again, Trigger has map control, so he does take a further lead, a further advantage, getting a 4th base. And Trigger just still rallying across the map. In the midst of all this, NightMare, he's been trying to tech up into additional Immortals. He's slowly building up his Immortal count, taking more defensive stance. Up to 2 Immortals, but that's where the charges come into play. Trigger. Can he get those Immortals? He wants them. He's tempted. Dipping in, getting a Zealot. NightMare taking a 4th. Slowly just building up his defenses. Getting another shield battery. 2nd shield battery on the way.
Meet our fate.
Oracle dips in. Trigger, he has scouted the 4th base. Does he go for it? Okay, yeah, he does. Will respond. Extra warpins here across the map. Trigger maintaining that supply lead. Thanks to all those Stalkers earlier, and now Mass Zealots. Oracles hit the 3rd. 4th base is denied. Trigger, he's staying on a low gas count, so no gases at the 3rd, no gases at the 4th, only 1 gas at the natural. It's just Mass Zealots. Mass Charge, let's back it. But NightMare has identified this and is getting into his own Archon production. Temple Archives is now done, and as long as we can get up to like 3 Archons, we're gonna be okay. There we go. This time the High Templar, they morph in. This time NightMare, he's not gonna get caught out without any Archons. Not like game 1. He's gonna at least have 1. At least the 1 Archon. Speaking of, Trigger getting his own. Taking another expansion. Again, just very Zealot heavy, very Haas-esque. Just very mineral based. Zealot Rambai is on the way. Trigger moving out. Trigger doesn't really have much at home to defend. Hopefully he does have a warp in. Zealots, they do peel off. There's a cannon in position in both bases. Yeah, Trigger, he can focus on his push. And there are 2 soon to be 3 Archons. Trigger has to be careful. Yep, has to respect it. He falls away. Nice hold position micro out of NightMare. He holds his own. Again, you can't just aim your Zealots into Archons. Be careful with it. Take your time. Trigger rotating around. Some of the Archons are exposed. Trigger pushing in on the right-hand side, coming in for a flank. Yeah, and the Concave is just a little bit too good, a little bit too strong. Yeah, breaks through the defensive line. And Trigger, he's snubbling out of control. I love that he pulls away the Zealots as well, away from the Archons. Does pull them back. Again, just preserving his Zealots. And does break through. Respecting those Archons. The juggling is good at a NightMare, but not good enough. GG gets called, and Trigger takes a 2-0 lead. Oh my god. Trigger, calm down. GG, well played. Trigger in this best of 5 is 1 game away from taking the entire series. Again, coming into this, NightMare was the #1 seed. Trigger was #2, and Trigger has been spending a lot of time in Korea. He's still in Korea. He's been improving over time. He's been getting better and better. Right now, Trigger, he is peaking. And can he take the 3-0? Can he walk away with an undefeated final score? He's close. Here we go. Oh. Are we okay? Sorry, I just got a bug. It's all good. So we're getting ready for that final game. I might have to restart. Okay, never mind. So I am getting a lobby bug, so I'm gonna have to restart. It's all good. And then we'll be jumping into those finals, or into potentially the final game. I mean, I'm hoping for a back and forth. I'm hoping we can get a full series out of this and make it to game 4, make it to game 5. That would be the ideal. But the pressure is on NightMare. Pressure is on. Oh my god. Oh no, Blizzard. It is a bit of a Blizzard moment. A little bit. I don't often get the lobby bug. Doesn't happen too often, but yeah, smooch. For those that are curious, you just get an error when trying to join a lobby, and you just can't. So you just have to restart and then come back in. I just imagine a team group hug. Oh no. Not like this. I'm getting there. I do apologize for the delay, but we should be okay. There we go. We are loading in. And game 3 is going to be on Golden Aura. So, back, we can keep things going. Whew. And again, Trigger is one game away from becoming our champion, and NightMare has to fight back here and now to extend the series and to have a chance at forcing the ace match. Oh, and because I restarted the game. There we go. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Golden Aura, we have our South Korean Protoss player, the Blue Protoss, representing himself, currently teamless, but deserving to be on a team. Can he bounce back here and now to make a series out of this? It is NightMare. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Canadian Protoss player, the Red Protoss, representing Basilisk. It is Trigger. Uno más, one more is all he needs. Uno más, papi, uno más. Let's go. We'll see if he can pull it off. Till then, we're settling in. We do have our initial probe scout moving out. And we should be opening up 2 gates, but we'll keep an eye on our players. We'll keep an eye on them. Golden Aura, a bit of a larger map. There we go. 2-gate open out of Trigger. 2 gateways out of NightMare. So far, so good. So far in this series, we haven't had any fake or real proxy setups from either player. And it looks like it's going to continue to be the case here as well. As NightMare, he's just scouting across the map. Trigger, likewise, scouting as well. There's no additional probe out on the map. There's no pylon setups. No proxies. Again, so far in this series, both in Game 1 and in Game 2, we've had some pretty standard openers and some pretty standard mid-games as well. It's been Trigger that's been more decisive and been, again, just very, very in the face of NightMare time and time again. Has been catching NightMare off guard. But I'm sure NightMare has been able to adapt over time. Is the caliber of player that can fight back against Trigger. Double Adept. Interesting. Double Adept open out of NightMare. Double Adept out of Trigger as well. Great minds think alike. Let's go. The mirror matchup does continue. So it's going to be Double Adept into Stargate from the side of Trigger. Going for Adept and Oracle Harass. Meanwhile, NightMare has not thrown down any tech. It looks like Double Adept into Expand. We'll see if that continues. Our players do commit to additional Adept production. 3rd and 4th Adept on the way for Trigger. Same can be said for NightMare. Pylon does complete. That is going to keep Trigger pinned back at home a little bit longer to focus on the Pylon. NightMare is the first to expand, but again, Trigger does have Oracles on the horizon. So there's a bit of a give and take here. As more Adepts are building up. As Trigger moves out, NightMare is going to be threatening his own shade. He's in position. More Adepts on the way. NightMare getting up to 6 Adepts. He's going to try to slip in. Trigger, does he respond in time? Oh! Oh, he doesn't! Adepts take it in. They do shade into the main base. Trigger was late to respond, late to react. Probes are going down. And boys are being pulled. Oh, that's going to be 4 probe kills already. 4 probes going down at the same time. Trigger trying to shade in. He gets locked down. And NightMare, he shuts down the Adepts, cleans them up. We have 1 Adept getting into the mineral line, but it doesn't get much done. So far, NightMare doing well. He doesn't just get some harassing damage, but he also cleans up the Adepts, which means he can counterattack. There is an Oracle to be concerned about, but I believe the Oracle did spend a lot of energy to defend, which means not much at all to harass. So a better start for NightMare. I do apologize for the in-game frame drops. I can tell you that is not affecting the players, thankfully. It's not influencing the players, but it is affecting our stream. So after this game, if we do get into a game 4, I will turn on my VPN. That usually does help with any kind of frame drops on the Korean server. It's just a connection to the Korean server, basically. Smooch. I mean, everything was fine in Game 1 and Game 2, but here in Game 3 after the restarts, sometimes the routing to Korea is not the most reliable in StarCraft. Smoke. We have NightMare slipping into the main. Does get a full scout, does get eyes on the Twilight Council. Is aware of the blink follow-up. See the Oracle's getting 3 probes across the map. Some decent counter damage. Trigger does take a slight worker lead. Both players getting into blink. Both players still on 2 bases. And we'll see where either player does deviate. We shall see as Trigger is getting a 3rd gateway behind this. Just a safety 3rd before he takes a 3rd base of his own. Getting up to 3 gates, double Oracle into the main. I believe NightMare just on 2 gateways, so Trigger will have the slight production lead compared to his opponents. But NightMare will have the faster expansion. So 3rd base for NightMare, 3rd gateway for Trigger. Adaptation to the natural, not bad. Getting 3 probes. Oh, not quite getting 4. 3 probes go down. Yeah, so yeah. As mentioned in the chat, not affecting the players. If it did, they would just pause. Just on our side. Trigger does hit the 3rd. He's going to be able to force his way in. Remember, Trigger, he does have the gateway lead. And with that, takes out the Stalkers. Gets 2, gets 3. 3 Stalkers go down, but barely not enough to break through. This time the shield battery was ready. This time NightMare did not skip warp-ins. This time NightMare does defend. Takes out an Oracle. Trigger hits the 3rd. Going for the pylon. Going for the probes. Gets 2. Gets 2 workers, backs off, getting his own 3rd. Trigger trying to bait the army into the stasis. Calm down. Hoping to at least. And it's going for a gateway explosion. Again, Trigger, he's still out here, but there is an observer. A nice bait from NightMare. Baits out the stasis. And Trigger backs off. Trigger will retreat. Pulling away once again, getting into charge. I mean, both players are. Trigger again with a slight worker advantage. Both players still on 3 gases. Trigger taking a fast 4th. Oh my god, a very fast 4th base. We do see NightMare, he's going to be the one to counterattack instead. With a much higher Stalker count. Remember, Trigger, he did skip warp-ins to afford this expansion. Stasis goes up! Oh my god! Trigger, calm down! Catches the main army. Somehow he does it again! More Zealots are warping in. Trigger punishing the Stalkers. And he's just waiting for that stasis to run out. Trying to get a full surround. NightMare, he has to commit. Sending his own reinforcements. Does try to blink away. Bleeding out more Stalkers. And Trigger blinking forward as well. Yeah, a lot of Stalkers going down for NightMare. And Trigger, he saves the 4th. He saves the expansion. Oracle across the map. Main army's going to be clashing. NightMare is going to be forced away. And the Trigger, can he punish this? I mean, the stasis earlier was brutal. There's only the 1 immortal behind this, though, so I don't think Trigger quite has enough. A lot of Stalkers are coming in. There's the overcharge. NightMare is going to be able to hold on, but what at the mineral line? 16 probes are going down. Oh my god. The economy is being crippled. As the main army is being held up, Zealots are wreaking havoc in the mineral line. There's 19 probes going down. Meanwhile, more Zealots at the 3rd as well. And NightMare getting pulled apart. We'll catch an immortal. Does at least bring down the Immortal. But we'll lose 23 workers. 23 probes go down. NightMare, he's looking quite all in at this point. Down to almost half the worker count, half the economy of Trigger. Trigger back at home is building up. Trigger, he checks. You can see he wanted another probe, but there was barely any workers to work with, to kill. There was nothing to snipe. Zealot's getting into the mineral line. Trigger behind this building up. And you can see the massive supply lead at this point. Again, Trigger, he was able to just pull NightMare apart. Wasn't able to like kill the main army, but did cripple the economy. And that was enough to snowball out of control with this massive army size. Now on how many? Now on 2 Immortals. Almost on an even Stalker count with 16 more Zealots. And he's going for a split push. Dropping to the main with a warp in. And the main army towards the third. Oh, nice snipe on the Prism. Impressive. NightMare, he does snipe the War Prism. Trigger pushing in. Force fields are placed. Zealots, once again, they do peel off into the mineral line. Probes are going down. Trigger unable to fully break NightMare, though. Never mind. The Zealot Rumbys, you just keep going. They keep getting in. And just like that, 12 more workers going down. That's all that Trigger wanted. Just continue to cripple the economy. Trigger taking another expansion. Once again, only on 3 gases. On mass mineral income, mass Zealot instead. And this style from Trigger, he's been relying upon it in every game so far. Game 1, Game 2, and here in Game 3 as well. And NightMare just can't keep up. This time NightMare has no Archons, so, I mean, he can't fight head-on anywhere near as well. NightMare getting forced back, still relying on a mass Stalker composition instead. See, Trigger intercept. Does catch out more Stalkers. Nice force fields. Does slow Trigger down. Has to pull away at the same time. We have a counter Zealot Rumby. Let's go. Zealots get across the map, but there is a DT to defend. Was that the War Prism? Yeah, it was. War Prism was sniped. Trigger, he can barely not engage. The Immortals are now coming into play. But NightMare, he's holding. He's holding on. He's replacing all those workers, getting back up to 67. Recovering his economy. NightMare, he's holding on. And Trigger, he does keep leading out his War Prism. Time and time again, the Prism isn't going down, so he can't reinforce. Even though Trigger has, what, almost 1,000 minerals in the bank. But having a hard time warping in. Setting out the War Prism. Reinforcing with a handful of Zealots. And the Prism just goes straight into the main. Going for the main base, going for the massive warp in. Does force a recall. It's going to be DTs and Zealots. But there is detection. And Trigger, he's running out of steam. Like, he's not really doing as much damage this time. Yeah, there is an observer in the main base. NightMare, he's fine. He will clean this up. Trigger had momentum earlier, but he is losing that. Yeah, the Immortal gets caught out. Very nice force fields for NightMare. Gets one, gets 2 Immortals. Yeah, the ramp was brutal. Trigger unable to break through that choke point. At the same time, ZT's Zealot Rumby takes down the cannon. Is getting some damage. Can Trigger get the base? The Nexus. Nexus is low, but the overcharge will keep it alive. Yeah, the Immortal isn't able to really engage. 10 probes go down. The Dark Templar, they are getting some damage done. To get 12 probes. Probes go down. There's 2 prisms. 1 prism falls. There's another in the main. Zealot's making the way into the natural instead, but there is a defensive warp in. Oh yeah, Trigger. He's Bleeding out a couple too many units here. Bleeding out a lot of zealots. Likewise, they don't really get any damage done in the main. Supplies are getting close. And NightMare defense. He does lose 24 probes though. That was a lot of economic damage. Trigger, he's going to back off. He's on 81 probes. Jesus. But again, no gases. So he has no tech to work with. You can see Trigger, he's been missing warp ins. 2,000 minerals. He's throwing down more gateways, more zealot reinforcements. Double expanding, he's spending his money. And Trigger, his macro, it was lacking a little bit there. We'll catch out some stalkers. Base is going to go down. Trigger, he can afford to lose a mineral line. But his main army is struggling, and now there are Archons. Yeah, NightMare, he is bouncing back in this game. Trigger, his macro was slipping. Just lack of warp-ins, lack of tech. Base did fall, and NightMare's not done. He's going for another expansion, and Trigger can't stop him. Trigger, he cannot stop the main army. I was just opening up my VPN for the next game. So we're going for a full base trade. We're going for a base trade at this point. We have Zealots here towards the third, but GG gets called. And actually, NightMare, he does beat out too much. Oh my god. Fun fact, I tabbed out to set up my VPN because I was like, oh, you know what? NightMare, he could actually win this base trade, but no, NightMare, he bleeds out far too much back at home, down to 3 workers, and Trigger, he will take the series 3-0. GG, GG. Oh my god. With 2,000 minerals in the bank. GG, well played. I do apologize for the frame drops in that final game. Again, it looks like after I restarted the client, it did kind of mess up my routing to the Korean server. So I was trying to set up a VPN for the 4th game, but turns out I didn't need it. Didn't need it. There was no 4th game. GG, well played. Congratulations to the Trigger for claiming the series. Again, I do apologize for the finale there, for it being a little bit more of a slideshow, less so of a clean kind of like clean game without any like frame drops. To apologize for that, but regardless, GG, well played. Congratulations to Trigger, as yeah, he claims the series 3-0. I'll be honest, for a moment there I was like, yo, NightMare, he's bouncing back, he's able to take a better fight, he's able to maintain his economy, but the non-stop Zealot Ramites was brutal. Eventually, NightMare's economy was just in the gutter. He had no more sustain, he had no more reinforcements. He just bled out over time, and Trigger had the entire map under his control, had base after base. Trigger, he'd afford to lose expansions, he had plenty more to rely upon. So GG, well played. Congratulations to Trigger. Well done. Well done. Well done. GG. And shout out to both NightMare and Trigger for making it to the grand finals. Of course, we do pay out top 2, so they both will walk away with the majority of their prize money, or with all of it actually, outside of the random raffle. So congratulations. Congratulations. And yeah, very dominant performance. I mean, Trigger did drop a map to Geralt, if you recall. That was the map where Geralt went into Dark Templar. He did rush into DTs and did pull Trigger apart. That did occur. But outside of that, Trigger was looking solid. He 2-0'd Rebellion, he 3-0'd NightMare, he took down Geralt 2-1. Very impressive stuff here by Trigger. Again, he has been staying in Korea for quite some time now, and that has been reflective of his performances in these tournaments. Not just in these in Sparkling Tuna Cup, but in online tournaments in general. So it's been great to see the rise of Trigger here towards the end of the year. And speaking of, I'm sure we're going to be seeing more of Trigger later on in the evening as well. What I'm referring to is the upcoming tournaments. We have Tenacious Turtle Tussle in 10 hours time. In 10.5 hours, we have our next broadcast. We have our next tournament. You might, we have the tuna here tonight, but tomorrow morning, we have the turtle. We have the turtle. It's gonna be beautiful. We have the Tenacious Turtle Tussle. Does have a larger prize pool. It is more catered towards the NA time zone, so it is more NA friendly in that sense, less European friendly. But regardless, we do have a lot of regulars showing up anyway. A lot of degens from Europe that do stay up deep late into the night do still compete in that tournament as well. Players like Geralt, players like Nicorette, players like Wayne, they are more of the regulars that we will see there. So yeah, hope to see more of them. Likewise, we'll see if Trigger wakes up early enough to compete in the Turtle Tussle as well. Likewise with NightMare, with Bjorn, with Shin, with Trap, with all the other regulars. Otherwise, after the Tenacious Turtle Tussle, if it's a little bit too late for you in 10 hours, if you're more akin to the European time zone, then we have you covered tomorrow in 22 hours with the Warty TV Open, with the Monday Cup, the Warty TV Monday, that's it. So we're going to be casting the Warty TV Monday tomorrow. Then after that, which is after Tenacious Turtle Tussle, after that we have the Orsisaurus Cup as well. So back to back to back to back broadcasts. A lot of content on the horizon here over the next couple of days, as always, on the Cranky Ducklings. Oh boy. And of course, we also have the podcast later on in the week to wrap up and to go over all the results of all these online Open Cups. And even offline events, as Hero Marine, Big Gabe did have his offline tournament over the weekend. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for taking part. And I hope you all enjoyed yourselves. Again, if you enjoyed the cast, then do check out the Cranky Ducklings on all their social medias, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Discord. We do cast here. We used to cast on a daily basis. Nowadays, we have a couple of days off because it's the off season. So there's no WTL, there's no Kung Fu Cup. So without certain regular events, we do have some more days off. But I do try to keep my schedule consistent when it comes to streaming on days off. So if you want to tune into some live VIP smoging on the ladder, I got you covered over on my own personal channel, light_VIP. Some people may not know, but a lot of the Cranky Ducklings, like myself, like Kuro, like Yaku, we all have personal channels that we ladder on or that we play other games on. We don't ladder here on the Cranky Ducklings. We try to keep this only for tournaments or for team content, so only for casting, only for like team games and stuff like that. When it comes to like ladder sessions or other games that we play, we do that elsewhere. We don't do that here on the Cranky Duckling. So if you're interested, you can follow me there. Otherwise, if you want to help support the Cranky Ducklings, you can do so via Patreon. You can do so via Patreon. We do have a Patreon set up. You can actually see it right under Trigger's name. Right under his name, you can see our Patreon. We currently do get 241 USD a month, and that does fund our online tournaments for the month. It does fund Sparkling Tuna Cup, Masters 1 Open, and Sea Duckling Open as well, all funded via the Patreon. And you can see our next stretch goal. And again, once we get there, we can boost the prize pool, and then we can hit another stretch goal and another. And ideally, at least personally, I do wish to grow the prize pool enough to actually pay out top 4. Currently, we only pay out top 2. Would love to spread the love and provide a little bit more to the players that do compete in our tournaments. But again, a lot of it does come down to the Patreon. So again, if you want to help support us, you can do so there. Otherwise, just follow us, papi. Follow us on Twitch, on Discord, on YouTube. We do stream on YouTube at the same time. And if we're casting something that's at a rough time zone for you, but you still want to watch the tournament, then check out the VODs. We have VODs instantly here on Twitch and on YouTube as well. VODs are better on YouTube, so if you want to check out the VODs on YouTube, they are instantly available under the live tab. So plenty of content there on YouTube. Again, we've been casting very regularly, basically on a daily basis for the past like 5 years. There's thousands of VODs on YouTube. You can check out all the content, check out all the casting, whether it comes to regional events, offline events, it's all there on YouTube. It's a lot of VODs, a lot of hours of StarCraft, many thousands of hours, thousands. So it's all there if you're interested. Otherwise, thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. We do appreciate it. Otherwise, yeah, we'll see you guys next time. See you guys next time here in 10 hours. In 10 hours or in 24 hours or whenever you drop by. We'll see you then. We'll see you then. Otherwise, thanks for watching. If you are unsatiated, if you want some more StarCraft, then I believe Warty is covering his own event. I believe the Warty TV Festival is currently ongoing, so you can check that out. Otherwise, we will give another streamer a raid. We might raid Warty, or we might find someone else. Usually, we do prefer to raid some smaller streamers that benefit a little bit more from a raid. And Warty has over 1,000 viewers, so we might send everyone elsewhere instead. Who's live at the moment? Rex is casting the Warty TV Festival. Strange is live. Jadolf is live. We could send people over to the Dolphin. True. Could do that. Who else is live? We have Sobad. Sobad is also casting the Warty events. We have Hurricane. We'll find someone. We'll find someone. But again, if you want some more tournament coverage, then Wardy has you covered with the Wardy Festival. Otherwise, stick around and give whoever we raid a chance. Give them a chance. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys next time. Until then, hasta luego. Ciao, papi, ciao. Hasta luego.